Welcome to the story of the United States of America. Long before the name America was ever spoken, this vast land was home to millions of native peoples, from the Iroquois in the northeast to the Cherokee in the south, the Sioux on the plains, and the Navajo in the deserts. Each nation had its own traditions, stories, and way of life. This was their land for thousands of years. Then, in the late 15th and early 16th centuries, European explorers arrived. Spain, France, the Netherlands, and England claimed territories. By the 1600s, England had built 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast. Over time, these colonies grew restless. Britain taxed them heavily, yet gave them no voice in government. Tension became anger, and anger turned into revolution. In 1776, the colonies declared independence. The words of the Declaration, written by Thomas Jefferson, carried a bold message that all men are created equal and that government exists only by the consent of the governed. The American Revolution raged for 8 long years until the colonies won their freedom in 1783. But freedom brought new challenges. How could a young nation govern itself? The answer came with the US Constitution of 1787, a framework of checks and balances, of individual rights, and of a government by the people. George Washington, the first president, set the tone for leadership. The 19th century saw the nation expand westward. The Louisiana Purchase doubled its size, and settlers pushed toward new frontiers. But this expansion came at a great cost. Native peoples were forced off their lands, many through violence and broken promises. Another deep divide ran through the nation: slavery. In the South, enslaved labor powered plantations, while the North moved toward freedom. This division tore the country apart in the Civil War of 1861 to 1865. The Union, led by Abraham Lincoln, fought to preserve the nation and end slavery. Victory brought emancipation, yet equality was far from reality. Reconstruction ended quickly, and African Americans continued to face injustice for generations. By the late 1800s, America entered the Gilded Age, a time of industry, immigration, and innovation. Railroads stretched across the land. Cities swelled with new arrivals from Europe and Asia. Wealth grew for some, while many workers lived in hardship. Still, the nation was rising. In the 20th century, the United States became a global power. It entered World War One in 1917, helping bring victory to the Allies. The 1920s were a decade of jazz, industry, and prosperity, until the Great Depression struck in 1929. Banks failed, jobs vanished, millions suffered. President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal brought hope and reforms, but the world was already moving toward another war. Pearl Harbor, 1941, the attack that brought America into World War II. The nation mobilized on a scale never seen before. US forces fought in Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. By 1945, Nazi Germany had fallen, and Japan surrendered after atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war left the United States as one of the world's two superpowers. The other was the Soviet Union. The Cold War began, a rivalry of ideologies, weapons, and influence. Americans waged wars in Korea and Vietnam, and an arms race that brought the world close to nuclear disaster. Yet, there were also moments of triumph, like 1969, when Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon, declaring, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." At home, another battle was being fought: the civil rights movement. Brave leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. spoke against injustice, demanding equal rights for African Americans. Their struggle led to historic victories, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964. As the century closed, the Cold War ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union. The United States stood alone as the world's leading superpower. Its economy, culture, and technology spread across the globe. But the new century brought new trials. The terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001 shocked the nation and reshaped its foreign policy. Wars in Afghanistan and Iraq followed. At home, debates over immigration, healthcare, climate change, and political division grew louder. The financial crisis of 2008 and the COVID-19 pandemic tested the resilience of the American spirit. And yet, through every hardship, the United States endures. It is a nation of over 330 million people, diverse, dynamic, and still striving toward its founding promise: liberty and justice for all. The history of the United States is a story of struggle and progress, of mistakes and triumphs. It is the story of a people reaching for freedom and of a nation forever in pursuit of a more perfect union. This is the story of America.